From out of the Hanna-Barbera archives and onto DVD comes The Jetsons Meet the Flintstones, the 1987 telefilm which marked the first time these two titanic franchises got together. The Jetsons Meet the Flintstones was part of a syndicated package of 10 films produced by Hanna-Barbera between 1987 and 88 called the Hanna-Barbera Superstars 10. The Superstars 10 was a tremendous effort by the company to try and reinvigorate their classic characters with all new movies. Some turned out amazing, others were embarrassing. However, The Jetsons Meet the Flintstones was one of the best. When Elroy Jetson builds a time machine, the entire Jetson family is sent back in time to Bedrock, where they encounter the Flintstones and the Rubbles on vacation. But soon after their arrival, they realize their time machine is broken, and now they're stranded in the past. While Elroy tries to fix the time machine, Fred puts the Jetsons' future tech to work trying to get back in the good graces of his boss, Mr. Slate, all while Judy falls for a Stone Age jet screamer. But even after Elroy gets the machine working again, the Flintstones and the Rubbles are sent back to the future instead of the Jetsons. If you thought that plot synopsis sounded a bit convoluted, then you'd be right. Like many of the other films in the Hanna-Barbera Superstars 10, The Jetsons Meet the Flintstones doesn't really stick to one linear narrative for the entire movie. However, it flows much better than most others. Really, the film follows an interesting three-act structure that could almost be separated into 3 half-hour episodes. Act 1 is the exposition, setting up the storylines of both the Flintstones and the Jetsons. Fred and Barney, as well as George, are up against the wall with their bosses, while Spacely Sprockets is experiencing corporate sabotage from rival competitor Cogswell Coggs. Fred and Barney get fired after skipping work to go to a high-stakes poker game, and Elroy builds his time machine. Act 2 is first contact between the two families and the Slate Rock and Quarry annual picnic, where the two groups can interact for the first time. Act 3 turns the tables on things and sends the Flintstones and the Rubbles to the future, leaving the Jetsons behind in the past. Surprisingly, both families thrive even out of their native time streams, especially the Jetsons, who basically come to dominate all of Bedrock and become outrageously wealthy, while the Flintstones' novelty as real-life cavemen make them celebrities in the future. Hanna-Barbera experienced a real second wind in the mid to late 80s after their 60s heyday. The quality of their writing and animation improved drastically after the 70s, and most of their classic series and characters were revived for more adventures. The Jetsons Meet the Flintstones was another good excuse to get the gang back together and featured almost all the original voice actors from the series. All the characters except for Betty Rubble and Fred Flintstone featured their original voices from the premiere 60s series. Betty, who was originally voiced by Bea Benaderet and later by Jerry Johnson, switched to other actresses in the 70s before being voiced here by Julie McWhirter. In Fred's case, at this point Henry Corden was considered the de facto Fred Flintstone, assuming voice duties after original actor Alan Reed's passing in 1977. The movie also allowed some of the voice actors to double up on their characters from the two universes, letting Mel Blanc voice both Barney Rubble and Mr. Spacely, with Jean Vanderpyle doing Wilma Flintstone and Rosie the Robot. The Jetsons especially were experiencing a major comeback at this time. Their newly syndicated season of episodes was on the air at the same time Jetsons Meet the Flintstones hit the airwaves, and after being featured in another Superstars 10 film in 1988, they would eventually get their very own feature film in 1990. The Superstars 10 series of movies is a prime example of Hanna-Barbera's resurgence in the 80s. Don Nelson and Arthur Alsberg, who wrote the movie, had been story editors on the Jetsons revival that was airing at the same time this movie was released, but also had writing credits as far back from classic sitcoms like Bewitched and I Dream of Jeannie. The film was also in the capable hands of longtime HB directors Don Lusk and Ray Patterson, as well as legendary voice director Andrea Romano, who helped bring about the best in these veteran actors, making them feel just as vibrant and energetic as they had 25 years before. The Jetsons Meet the Flintstones is a Hanna-Barbera fan's ultimate wish fulfillment. It's simply everything one could ask for in both a Jetsons and a Flintstones movie, and it's pure Hanna-Barbera gold. It's amazing it took this long for the movie to make its way to DVD, but now courtesy of the Warner Archive collection, it's available with a beautifully crisp and clean transfer. I can't recommend this movie enough to both Hanna-Barbera fans and cartoon lovers alike. It's one of the best examples of Hanna-Barbera in their later years and one of my favorite movies of all time. The Jetsons Meet the Flintstones is available on DVD exclusively through the Warner Archive collection. I give it 4 stars out of 4.